Section 5.1 Deposits. Chapter 5 covers savings accounts versus checking accounts. So we just completed the checking account unit. Savings accounts are quite a bit easier because usually there's not as much activity as there is in checking accounts. So what is a savings account? It's a specific kind of bank account that earns interest and lets you make deposits and withdrawals. So how is this different than a checking account? Usually the accounts that students normally get are free checking accounts, which means they don't get any interest. You don't have to have a minimum balance once you deposit money in. There's just not a lot of complex things with it. Savings accounts actually gives you a little bit of interest, and the only things it really lets you do is make deposits and withdrawals. There's no checks that go along with savings, but you can have a debit card that is related to your savings account as well. A deposit is money that is put into your account. What are the different ways that you can make a deposit into your savings account? You can go to the ATM. You can do an in-person at the bank deposit. You can have your paycheck directly deposited into your account, and there's the electronic transfer. You can always have the app on your phone or on your computer and transfer money from savings to checking or checking to savings. The first example that we're going to do, we have to calculate the amounts that are going to go into a deposit in your checkbook. Robert wants to deposit the following into his savings account: 28 $1 bills, 8 $5 bills, 24 quarters, 35 dimes, 90 pennies, a check for $29.34, and a check for $124.19. He wants to receive a $50 bill in cash. How much will he deposit? So that's what we're going to do first, and then I'll raise this up just a little bit so that you can actually see what the deposit should look like. So let's calculate the total amount of currency and the total amount of coin that are going to go. Sorry, it keeps jumping up on me here. Okay, so currency is the paper money. So we have 28 $1 bills, and that would be 28 times 1. So 28. And then we have 8 5s. So 8 times 5, which is 40. And we'll add those together and we get $68. Okay, for the coin, we have 24 quarters. So 24 times 25 cents. $6. We have 35 dimes. So 35 times 10 cents, which would be $3.50. And then we have 90 pennies, or 90 cents. So we will add those together. $9.50 plus 90 cents. So $10.40. Okay, so I'm going to move this up a little bit and show you where everything goes. So notice on our, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger for you. Notice on our deposit slip, the currency, since there is a spot for it, goes there. The coins, since there is a spot, go there. And then the checks are listed separately, not as a total, are listed here. The deposit looks very much the same as a checkbook deposit. Notice here, same thing, sign here if you get cash back. They do have different layouts depending on the bank that you're at. Your name, you usually have to write it in because you're using deposit slips that the bank has, and they're just blanket deposits. They're not individualized like checking accounts are. Somewhere on there you'll need your account number, which you'll have to write in there as well. And then, of course, your date too. So sign only if you get cash back. If you don't have to sign it, but you do need your name on the deposit. So we'll add those $68 plus $10.40 plus $29.34 plus $124.19. We get a total of $231.93. we're going to get $50 in cash back, so we're going to subtract 50 out. So our total deposit this time is $181.93. So very, very similar to a checkbook. Let's look at example 2. George deposited one check into a savings account for $629.75, another for $398, and a third that he can't remember the amount. His total deposit was $1227.51 after he received $150 in cash. What was the amount of the third check? So here's what his deposit would look like. So total deposit, check number 1, plus check number 2, plus check number 3, subtract $150 out because he got $150 back in cash. So let's just fill in those amounts. I'm going to call check number 3 X because we don't know that one and I just want to keep it simple. So total deposit $1227.51. Check number 1 was $629.75. Check number 2, $398. Again, check number 3, we're going to call it X. And then we're going to subtract $150 from it. So if you're going to do it in an equation form, this is what it looks like, and I'll do it one more time after this, just thinking about the details. So $629.75 plus $398, subtract $150. We're going to basically put all of these together since they're just numbers. And we get $877.75 plus X. Now, since these two are being added, I'm going to subtract $877.75. And that should be what that third check was. $1227.51, subtract $877.75, and we get $349.76. Okay, let's think about this a little bit differently. Okay, so what if we don't like the equational way? So my total deposit was $1227.51. I have 2 checks that I already know how much they are, so I'm going to subtract those out of there. The order doesn't really matter. And get that total. Oops, there was something in there. Let me do it again. So you get $199.76. Now we already know that normally we get $150 back in cash, but we're going to have to add that back in there because originally it was in your check to begin with. So if we add $150 onto that, we do get $349.76. Okay, so just a little bit different method to do it. You kind of have to just think backwards a little bit.